It's Energumen opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2 mile novices. Energumen by a...
So hello, welcome back to the Champ.ie podcast, episode number 12 of the season, ahead of the Dublin Racing Festival. I'm back in the hot seat. Vince has gone missing. And the special guest on the show this week is Gordon Elliott, and we will be speaking to Gordon after we preview day one of the Dublin Racing Festival at Leopardstown. Let's introduce the guests. My intros won't be as good as the Vince, but we have the Golden Groome back from his trip in the Alps. Good afternoon, Ronan.
How are you, Basil? Good to be back. First
race, lads. We are just actually want to say that we don't usually give the subscribers a thank you, but if you haven't subscribed, please do. We've absolutely rocketed. I thought it was because Ronan Groome went missing on the Alps that people were subscribing, but if you haven't, please do so, as the response is good. So the first race on the card that we're going to look at is Saturday at Leopardstown, the 105, and it is the Natalia Lacey Solicitors Grade 1 novice hurdle, of course, over 2 miles and 6 furlongs. Hollow Games for Gordon Elliott is a 9-4 favourite. Manella Crooner has come in for support for Gordon Elliott, also 9-2. What do you want? 5-1 Willie Mullins for the Mulryans. Grand Jury 11-2. Bron for Willie Mullins is a 6-1 chance winner at Naas. Eric Bloodaxe 13-2. And Manella Cocooner 14-1. 40-1 Freedom of Dream. Where are we going first? Let's throw the ball to Davy Boland.
I'm surprised at the prices with Hollow Games and Grand Jury, because Grand Jury was ahead of them the last day, and it wasn't that Hollow Games was going to the line stronger and didn't, strange one. I like Gordon's other one, Manella Crooner, that Jack rides. Probably hasn't beaten anything standoutish or anything. The other 2 horses ran in a Grade 1 and beaten by Ginto, who looks to be a right horse altogether. But I like Manella Crooner simply because I'd say the further he's going, he's had plenty of runs under his belt. He's a hardened type. I really fancy from the Albert Bartlett, and I fancy him in this race. I wasn't overly impressed with Hollow Games. So I wouldn't be jumping on him a favourite. Like I said, I was surprised with the prices, but I'd side with Jack on this one.
Okay, interesting. Ronan, you mentioned to me about the step up and trip for Hollow Games. Obviously, ran in the Lawlers at Naas, and I suppose was never really getting near the winner, but a step up and trip to suit.
Yeah, well, he won over the 2 3/4 on his maiden hurdle, his hurdles debut, didn't he? So you'd imagine he'll stay at the very least, and may well improve from a back up in grade. I have to agree with Davey, to be honest with you. The discrepancy in price between Grand Jury and Hollow Games doesn't make much sense, considering Grand Jury beat him in the Lawlers and Ace, and watching that race again, it looked like he was holding them off. It was more of a staying performance for Grand Jury, and you'd suggest that coming up 2 furlongs won't be any problem to him. He's taken a kind of sizable step forward from his maiden hurdle win as well. So I'm just wondering, is the price of a Grand Jury maybe something reflective of the Bromhead's kind of stable form? Maybe not 100% firing on cylinders yet. Just 2 winners from 28 runs in the last 2 weeks, and just a slight question maybe, but if you were analysing both horses, it wouldn't make much sense, the difference in price there. I don't know, like people who watch the Road to Cheltenham will probably know I'm a big fan of Eric Bloodaxe. Thought he was really good at Limerick the last day. Brian Cooper came in, said he hated the ground. But he picked up really well on the ground despite that and beat Freedom to Dream quite easily there. I think this horse has always been smart enough. He beat Fairly Hollow in wide receiver when he was in bumpers at the beginning, and missed a lot of time, but come back well, and people are probably just treating the fact that he was beaten by Ginto and that is making a difference in his price. But I thought he was a much better horse over the longer trip at Limerick, and back on the slightly quicker ground here. Well, probably a lot quicker ground actually, in a first time tongue tie. He was probably the one for me. And I give us a short mention too to Manella Cocooner, not Crooner, the Mullins horse here. Look, he was an easy winner of his last run at Navan. He won a maiden hurdle, beat a horse that won next time out, My Design. And I just think there probably wasn't much between the Mullins trio here, and the fact that Townend is riding Braun is kind of swaying the market a bit, but couldn't have been an easy decision. Danny Mullins is on this horse for the Bobbits, so first time Hood as well. The top 14 to 1 by him was probably a bit big, so happy enough to take on Hollow Games at that sort of price in what looks a competitive race.
For what it's worth, Ronan Groome, I agree with you. I would like Eric Bloodaxe. He's a horse I've always liked. He's a gorgeous looker, isn't he? Saw him up at Ferry House today. Of course, he bet Fernie Hollow in a bumper. Had a setback, and of course has had a couple of runs back since. And the Brian Cooper report, he absolutely hated the ground. Yeah. So like that's interesting. Obviously on obviously it's going to be better ground, yielding ground at Leopardstown as we speak. Thomas Coyle, thoughts?
It's a good race. I fancy Grand Jury as well. I think he'll even step forward on his last run because I think the better ground is going to suit him as well. He beat Ardlaw in his maiden hurdle. We've talked about Ardlaw before. We think he could be an improver throughout the year as well for better ground. So I like him, as you said. Just see Gordon's other one, as Davey mentioned, Manella Crooner has come in for an awful lot of money today. So that's interesting. Jack riding him as well. You'd have to, I think Braun as well, you have to give him a mention. And as Ronan said, with Paul Townend on, he was very workmanlike. So I do think the step up and trip, and the horse that was third, Flame Bear, he's a good yardstick, and he's coming one since as well. But look, it's a good race. It's funny as well, Willie's other one, there's no jockey down, but I presume Darragh O'Keefe is going to ride it. He was favoured for that race in Lawlers, but I didn't think he stayed. He kind of flattened out from the back of the last, but he was favoured that day. So maybe there might be a bit of improvement is there. But I think the horse, hopefully Henry's horse has come back to a bit of form, and I think the step up and trip on the better ground, I think Grand Jury at that sort of price, 11 to 2, is the better race. All right.
Yeah, it was interesting actually. Willie Mullins' comments. I thought when What Do You Want won at Navan this season, he could be one to maybe step up further and trip as the season went on. And interesting, Willie's comments, he was adamant that no, this horse didn't want to step up and trip, and now he's in an Italia Lacey over 2 mile 6. So that'd be a negative on him. I'd side with Eric Bloodaxe, as I said. The 135, we're going to rattle through these quickly, is the Spring Juvenile, the Grade 1. Phil Dore 5 to 4, Vauban 11 to 8. A big talking horse, of course, at Punchestown last time. A Carol Lad 11 to 2 for Willie Mullins. Also the Tide Turns 10 to 1. Ben Seagal for Noel Mead. And the Jeff Kidder colours, Davy Boland. Vably, if I've pronounced that right, for Willie Mullins 33 to 1. That's 33 to 1 bar. Davy, were you at Punchestown when Vauban was all the talk?
I was, yes. Just the talk was he couldn't be beaten, and Pied Piper then did beat him. They fought out a right out tussle, the two of them, and sure everybody knows what Pied Piper went on to do then in Cheltenham last week, which was fairly devastating. Pied Piper was always going to improve for that run in Punchestown. Now I'd imagine Willie's will as well, but like. Everyone thought Willies was going to win and Pied Piper was going to improve for the run and go on, but obviously he won the battle and he won it and he got his head in front. But I suppose I fancied him to win last week in Cheltenham, but not in that fashion. It was incredible, really. But Phil Dore has always been held in very high regard in the Gordon Elliott stable, and you hear a lot of people always saying that they always said Phil Dore was better. I don't think they ever said anything. Phil Dore was way ahead of Pied Piper in terms of Pied Piper was bought in November at a horse and training sale. So
which one do you think is better, Davy?
Phil Dore. I think they're two different types. I think Phil Dore's going to be more of a stayer. Pied Piper, you'll see, sticking to 2 miles, I'd imagine. Very, very pacey. I'd say Phil Dore would have no problem stepping up and trip if he wanted it. Just because he has a great way of racing, he's very laid back, and I'd imagine you could do anything with him. But 5 to 4, that'll do me. Listen, Willie's horse is he's a talking horse, and as well, if you go off what Pied Piper did the last day, you'd imagine he has to have a right chance on form there. But and the horse that was third in that race then was just second behind the Tide Turns. But now Fildor for me, I think he's very good, and I think he'll win the Triumph.
Yeah, interesting, Dave. Well, when this race was priced up in a place, Fildor was something like 9-4. Did I see 9-4 on Fildor for this race? Vauban was a warm order. Obviously, the money's come for Fildor, and I think he deserves to be favoured on form. Does he, Ronan?
I think he does. Yeah, I think you saw 9-4 because there might have been a bit of a question about whether Fildor runs or not. It was more of an anti-post price. I think Gordon skipped this with Zanahiyr last year, didn't he? So there might have been just a bit of doubt about whether he runs, and obviously the prices have shortened up now. Fildor has kind of flip-flopped and edge favoritism, and yeah, you kind of have to have Fildor favourite just because of what he's done. He's jumped forward on 3 of his starts. He's obviously unbeaten. He's obviously a winner over the course and distance. And if you look at the difference in lengths of what he put between himself and Lunar Power from Fairyhouse to Leopardstown, he's obviously really going the right direction. So it's difficult for all that. Vauban is he's got that Pied Piper form, and the two of them pulled clear in a good time at Punchestown. It's obviously strong form. It's not just hype with Vauban. That sort of performance does put some substance to all the talk about him. But it is difficult just off that one run, even on an experienced thing. Like, does Vauban run a bit keen again? Does he run around in the straight? It's only his second start, whereas Fildor's having his fourth start. So I can't really make a case for Vauban being short than Fildor. It's probably a no-bet race. They're probably both short enough now. A couple of the others are interesting, I guess, but just need to improve. Like Icar Allen, he obviously won the maiden hurdle, the good juvenile maiden hurdle at Leopardstown at Christmas. That's often been won by a good juvenile, likes of Vanovich Gorbatov and Mr. Adjudicator, French Seal all won that race, but he was a bit workman-like there. You probably need to see a bit more. And Ben Seagal would be the one I'd suggest maybe if you want one at a price, or 16-1. He hasn't been seen since November, but he won really nicely at Punchestown. And I think he did a quicker time that day than Grand Jury did in the 2-mile race, and over the same distance on the same card. So a bit worried that he hasn't been seen since, but maybe Nomi's kept him back here for this race, and he'd be one at the bigger price. But Fildor for me out of the top 2 of the market.
I just wonder, maybe are we overcomplicating it, Roland? I think there could be a couple in here that maybe have handicaps in the spring in mind. And Fildor was interesting because on the Road to Cheltenham Challenge, when we were talking about it on Monday night, I was talking about Fildor being a ridiculously sharp price at 3-1 after winning on second start. He went and backed it up again at Leopardstown. And for me, he's a horse that's growing on me. I am going to say that about Fildor. And obviously, they take their chance. They go here. And I think odds against is probably a good price on him now at this stage. Based on, look, as I say, I always worry with juveniles. Are they going to, back up their form? But he keeps doing it. Vauban hasn't won a race over hurdles yet, and yet he's 11-8 or disputing favoritism. For me, Fildor is a bet here. I think you are right, Davy, at 5-4. I think a lot of the rest of them, maybe there could be another day in mind. Thomas, would you concur, or am I talking nonsense? Sorry, I muted you because the mother-in-law's in the background.
No, look, it's pretty. Yeah, he's talked through it. Fildor sets the standard for the juveniles this season. Vauban he's the interesting one, first time tongue tie as well. So maybe there was something in Punchestown. He's the one, and the triangle, as Ronan said, is Ben Seagal. At that price, we've seen what Nomi done with Jeff Kidder last year. He won well enough for Brian Cooper in November. So yeah, look, Fildor sets the standard. If Vauban goes and beats him, we probably could have a different favour for the juvenile at Cheltenham. But it's a good race, yeah. But yeah, you'd have to side with Fildor at the minute for what he's done.
All right, lads, I can't wait to preview this. The 2:10 at Leopardstown, the Irish Arkle, 2 miles, 1 furlong. And Tom, as you said, we discussed it in plenty. So we're going to come to you first on this, the Irish Arkle. Blue Lord is 6-4, the choice of Paul Townend. Riviere de Tell, 5-2, Jack Kennedy and Gordon Elliott. Hot on Colours, Willie Mullins, and Brian Cooper attends the ride there. Of course, in the silks of the Donnellys. 7-2, St. Sam, who impressed actually at Fairyhouse last time, is a 4-1 chance. Bustleton for Joseph O'Brien and JJ Slevin, 40-1 embittered. also for Joseph at 40-1, and Gigginstown. Tom, I'm a big Blue Lord fan, and as I mentioned, I actually have an anti-post bet on him at 33s for the Arkle. So it's obviously been a good week if you're anti-post on Blue Lord. But in terms of this race, I must say at the prices, I wouldn't be rushing to get involved, because Riviere de Tell, her run behind Fernie Hollow was, I thought, a very good run. And at the prices, I'm just wondering, what's your thoughts, Irish Arkle?
Yeah, look, as you say, River to Tell, that's probably the standout form in this race, second to Fernie Hollow. You would like her. Blue Lord, he that 3-runner race in Nace, he dawdled around and he couldn't have been more impressive. But what did he beat? Lifetime Ambition probably isn't up to this kind of standard, or Dancing on My Own is probably a good handicapper at that stage. I thought the Brian Cooper mount was interesting. He was pitched in really at the deep end last year in his hurdles, straight to Cheltenham. First run for Willie was in Cheltenham when he was third, and then same again, ran the Grade 1 in Punchestown when he was third again, not beaten far. He'd done it nicely on Chase debut, so there could be a lot more to come from this horse. Just saying that as well, Blue Lord has a bit of age on these. Most of these runners are 5-year-old. They probably have a little bit to learn. He's got a bit of age on his side as well, but I don't know, just looking through the form, I thought Brian Cooper's mount, he's very unexposed, obviously with only the 4 lifetime runs, so there could be an awful lot of improvement. So I just thought at the price of 4-1, he'd be probably a bit better value than 6-4 in Blue Lord. As I said, there could be a lot of improvement in him.
Yeah, interesting. Ronan, you like a bit of experience. Blue Lord, 2 starts over fences. Riviere de Tell, 4 starts over fences. And of course, Hot and Calore and St. Sam, just the 1 apiece. Experience, could she be the one to beat?
I think she is. I definitely think she is. She's. I'd flip the 2 of them in price, to be honest with you. Every time Riviere de Tell runs, people talk about the big allowances she has, and obviously that's a factor, but I think it's taken away from her. I think you take a good chunk of those allowances away, she still wins easy the first 3 starts anyway. She's put up really impressive times every time she's run, and she's got the best form in the race. If Fernie Hollow was here, he'd be odds on probably. She pushed him all the way and recorded another big time at Leopardstown over this course and distance. Blue Lord, look, he was good first time out up at Fairy House, but I don't think he had to do much last day. They took out 4 fences there at Nace with low sun, and Lifetime Ambition was second there, got walloped next time out in the Bob Bollinger race at Punchestown. The 2 Willie runners there, Hot on Calure and St. Sam, are interesting, and most interesting is St. Sam, whether he goes up and pesters Riviere de Tell. Like Fernie Hollow didn't let her get her lead, and St. Sam might do that for the Mullins team here. He made all first time out, so that would be my slight worry. But on form, there's only one pick here for favourite. At least I think it's Riviere de Tell. She's rated 150, so the handicapper has her already. So she's still getting £9 from Blue Lord. Like, it's still a huge allowance. So if you were to take that very technically, Blue Lord's got a run to 160 plus here on his 3rd start over fences. It's a fair old task. That's obviously assuming Riviere de Tell runs up to scratch as well, but she's been pretty consistent so far, and obviously has the course and distance form. She looks favourite to me, and a bet at 11-4 or 5-2, anything around that mark.
Yeah, I actually agree. So I'm not chickening out of the whole Blue Lord thing, but I think on prices, he's very short at 6-4. And I can't help but agree. I think she is a bet here. She gets the £9. She won't get that at Cheltenham. And just on the prices, I think Riviere de Tell could represent a bit of value at the current prices of 5-2. It'll be interesting to see whether I'll have a bet with her. Have a bet because I am just in the Blue Lord camp long term this year, and it might just be a watching brief for me. But if someone's having a bet, 5-2 Riviere de Tell could be the value in here. St. Samus took a bit of a walk as well in the park in terms of the betting. Irish Gold Cup time, and just go down to the betting.
You weren't giving me an opinion on it anyway, but go on.
Oh, sorry, Dave. Did I forget about you?
No,
Give us
you're grand. You're grand.
No, in you come, quick. Give us your selection.
I won't delay. The Mare will win. I think she's a great bet. I think one of the best performances of the season was Fernie Hollow, and I think that's one of the best performance so far this season was Fernie Hollow. So you have to go with the Mare. I think she's very, very good, and again getting that weight.
Ground won't be an issue, Dave, and she's a lot of experience. Do agree with you.
No.
Right, lads, Irish Gold Cup time, 3:15 at Leopardstown, the big one. The British Raiders. We don't have Mike over here now to defend himself. Frodon, Bryony Frost is a 3-1 favourite. Ken Boy, Paul Townend and Willie Mullins 3-1. Manila Endo, the Gold Cup winner, with Robbie Power up, is a 7-2 shot. Asterion Furlonge, 9-2. Again, Cooper retains the ride for the Donnellys here. Delta Work 14-1. Janadil, what the hell is he doing here? I thought he doesn't stay. 14-1. Conflated 40-1. A big step up in class here. Silas Emery 66-1. The Golden Groom, Dissect.
Yeah, I'm quite strong on Kenboy here, Barry. I think he should be clear favourite. He's excellent at Leopardstown. Even obviously he won this race last year, and I just think the way this race, it's not. I wouldn't say it's the strongest renewal. As you were talking there, I was just going through the Paul Nicholls form to see if he's got anything going after a really bad weekend, and he hasn't had a winner this
horrific
week.
Again today.
Yeah, just not good. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not sure has that been factored into Frodon's price. Look, you respect Frodon coming over. Leopardstown seems like it would suit him, but will it suit him any more than it suits Kenboy? I'm not sure. Kenboy's record over 3 miles at Leopardstown is excellent. I don't think he's ever been out of the frame. Maybe he was fourth one year, but a close-up fourth. He's really closely tied with Plutar. He's in 2 runs at Leopardstown. It's just really strong form, and this is going to be his Gold Cup, so to speak. He's not really got a Cheltenham kind of target Kenboy. They probably won't even be thinking about that. Whereas with Manila Endo, I'd assume that they just want to hunt him around and get him to run 3rd or 4th again, like he did in this race last season. Just get him back going again. In hindsight, they must have thought they were, the decision to go to Kempton never really made sense. We talked about that before the race, and they were trying to, I think Henry referred to it as trying to get a square peg into a round hole, and it just never worked out. I'd be pretty sure if you offered them 3rd or 4th now, running on and up the run-in or something like that, they take your hand off for it and go back to the Gold Cup with that kind of confidence behind them. Asterion Furlonge is obviously interesting, but you just can't trust him to jump around, can you? He's obviously a really talented horse, but I'm just not sure he's got that mistake in him every time he runs, and I don't think it's much of a race. I think Delta Work might just be gone at this stage. Always liked him. Maybe that's a bit harsh. He does have a good record at Leopardstown as well, but he has a bit to prove now. Yanadale, as you say, not sure if he stays. Conflated has got a big jump in class here, and Silas Emery is another suspect stayer, and perhaps probably on the wane a bit as well. So I'm pretty strong at Kenboy here. He's going to be primed for the occasion, and I'd be surprised if he wasn't close to, well, at least very clear favourite, maybe in and around the 9-4 mark by the time they jump off, because it looks pretty strong case for me.
The Batterstown view.
Yeah, well, just as we said, I couldn't have the Paul Nicholls horse at the minute. I think he had a couple of runners in 2 horse races, and he still got bet today. He couldn't on the form that he's going on. Asterion Furlonge is interesting on his run at Kempton at Christmas. He's definitely going to be thereabouts. As Ronan says, he just has that jump in air. But Kenboy does deserve to be favourite, and he probably is the most likely winner in this race. With his form around Leopardstown. You're saying Janadil don't stay, but if he's ever going to stay, it's going to be in a flat track like Leopardstown, on good ground. If that is his worry, he could be an each way player kind of at this price. As Davey will even tell you, it's probably the easiest track in Ireland to ride around. It's flat. It's pretty simple, isn't it, Davey? If you've one worry about staying, it's a track that you would go to, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose the last couple of furlongs are stiff, all right, but for the rest of it, yeah, it is ideal once you jump, and he does jump well, you know.
Yeah. So like he wouldn't be completely out of it on his run before the last day, so he could be interesting. But look, looking at it, it's not the greatest renewal, and with Ken Boy's form around the track, he as Ronan said, he's probably the bet for the race.
Mr. Boland.
It's not often I agree with Ronan once, never mind twice, but yeah, I like Ken Boy. I think Paul probably wanted to go faster on him the last day, but he missed a couple of fences and he jumped slightly right. He did, so I'd say Frodon will help Paul this time. I wouldn't say Paul will be. It won't be an issue make the running, but I'd say Paul will be happy to follow Bryony, and she'll make the gallop for him rather than being anyway lonelier in front. Great record around the track, you can't beat that. Yeah, he's the one for me. You can't have Cooper, Joe. Jesus, he's rotten. I think Manila Indo will run a huge race. I know he's pulled up the last day, but I'm always willing to forgive a good horse one bad run. Just nothing. He was never going from the start in the King George. And if they go a right good gallop in this, which they will, I think that'll suit him, and you'll see him staying on towards the end. And he'll be thereabouts then come March in the Gold Cup again. It's great to see that for Puppy, only back from injury. Rachel's obviously going to ride absolute hard, and the Maloney's can't have Jack because of Delta work, so they've gone with Puppy and to have him for both days. So that's good to see. Good for Puppy.
It's interesting, isn't it, Davey, that they've put him up like he's only had maybe 3 rides back, is it? I know obviously like last year was a complete write-off for Puppy, unfortunately, but just thought like in a big race like this, your eye might want to be in, you know. I know obviously the long-term plan is Cheltenham, but I just thought with Rachel riding so many and Puppy only probably having 3 rides in the last 6 months, it is a bit strange, I thought. No?
Yeah, well, I suppose he's around a long time, and
he is, yeah.
He wouldn't have come back unless he's fit, you know. If you see him walking, you'd say you'd actually want to put him down if you see him walking across the yard. Yeah. But in terms of his riding, there's no issues with his riding, and he's fit and strong, and I think it's a good thing. Get a feel for the horse and everything, and then go to Cheltenham hopefully off the back of a good run. But I think Ken Boy's going to be tough to be here, and I think Frodon's going to help him.
I found a bet here, lads. I found a bet. And I don't agree with Davy Boland or Ronan Groome. 55 runs over fences between the front 2 in the market, and they hold up 50% of the book, right? Then you come down to Manila Endo, who could not be back in this thing. Wasn't well, was he, when he came back from Kempton? Did Henry say he came back in pretty bad shape, was a bit shook up, and then you come down on the Styrian for lunge. And for me, he's the bet in here at 9-2.
How can you back a horse that jumps so bad, Barry?
But that's a myth, Davy. That's exactly my point. That is the myth, because he ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Look at his form.
Listen, one of his last. Listen to this, no. One of his last 9 starts. Hear me out, lads. Right. One of his last 9 starts has been going left-handed. On that occasion, he finished. Look, he was in against Monkfish, and the big dust up, of course, with latest exhibition, of course, at the time. So, look at the way he jumps the last day. I think his jumping is after getting, even though he fell, it's not as markedly out to his left, out to his left as people. Or sorry, out to his. What way is it going? I'm confusing myself. His jumping isn't as big an issue as maybe the form suggests on his last 2 starts. He came down last 2 starts. If he stays up, I think he jumps a lot straight. He jumps a lot straighter now, is what I'm saying to you. As this horse could have a lot of improvement. He was running a big race in the King George and in the John Durkin, and I just think that there'll be a day when this fella will get it together. And it could be on Saturday. I'm willing to take the chance at 9-2. Cooper's obviously rode him now a couple of times, so he's getting used to him. Janadel for me, I'm not sure if he does stay, Tom. I know. I hope he does. I really do hope he stays. I like the horse. Delta work and conflated. So for me, he's the bet in here, 9-2, and I'm strong on Asterion Furlonge. Davey, do you want to pick it up?
No, I just answer me one question. What's a big race in the King George? What's a big race? What was he going to do?
He was coming there with his challenge, wasn't he? He was coming there, and
the winner bolted up, Barry. The winner bolted up.
Well, look, I just think he's I think he's overpriced, and as I said, 50% of the market is taken up by two horses who have run over 55 times. For me, you have to be the form of Nichols horses. Would have to be a worry also. So, yeah, Steering for Lunch, lump on. Okay. Brilliant. So that was the Irish Gold Cup. Now we're going to speak about anything else on the card at Leopardstown. Ronan Groome will be up there on Saturday. Dave, are you going?
I am. Yeah, I go Saturday, and I'll go for half it on Sunday. I'm going to go to Ballinabula, watch the 4-year race, and then I'll go up for the last few races. I think the bumper is a fascinating race. Great prize money, 100,000 euro race, sponsored by Goffs.
I was waiting for you to get that one in.
Oh yeah, good man. Gordon's horse was very impressive when he won in Navan. Obviously he's not. I wouldn't say he's his best bumper horse. The best bumper horse he has is American Mike, and he's going to go straight to Cheltenham. The Big Dian's been very impressive.
And the Big Dian.
He improved a huge amount from his first win when he won the second day. Barry O'Neill's not riding him. He has chose to ride Xandor Clegane for the Nolans. He was very impressive in Punchestown. Just worry. He wanted maybe a little bit softer to be at his best, maybe. But the standout one is, I know he is 4-5, but I'd say this horse of Willie Mullins is a proper horse. He was very impressive at Christmas. A son of walk in the park out of the great mare herself, Q Vega. He won snug enough 6 lengths at Christmas and beat Nolan's horse Joy Machine, who went on to win snugly in Navan. And he was given Nolan's horse £7 because Rob was claiming 7 on the day. Rob James was claiming 7 on the day. So I'd say this Willie Mullins horse is a fair horse, I'd say.
Yeah, well, when you see a horse like Embassy Gardens 20-1, you know how good the race is. Because I like him. I thought he went into Christmas Embassy Gardens, and Ronan, you go make yourself a coffee, because I know you don't like talking about the bumpers, but when you see a horse like him at 20-1, he impressed me the last time. I know the form, it wasn't visually as impressive as some of the other bumper winners at Christmas, but I'd say he'll improve plenty as well. But Tom, thoughts on the bumper?
Yeah, Willie's looked fairly special. Yeah, they're gonna have to go to beat him. I'd say he's probably his number 1 bumper horse. Yeah, so it'll be exciting. I didn't really look at it, to be honest, but I do remember him winning. So yeah, he'd be the one to beat.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not going to call it, because I'm looking forward to the race. As I was saying to the lads off air, Annie son of Vega is a friend of mine. So Facile Vega looked impressive. The Big Dian, I absolutely loved him at Punchestown, and Sandra Clegane. So can't wait for this one. Anything else on the card? Ronan Groome, you don't like talking bumpers. Come in. Have you anything else on the card at Leopardstown that we should be keeping an eye on Saturday?
Yet to get me teased into the 2 handicaps, but they will be good betting heats. I think Exit Pole could run well in the 2 mile handicap chase there again. I will give you one quickly for Sandown, because good card at Sandown on Saturday. Born Patriots going over there for Peter Fahey in the just short of 3 mile handicap hurdle there. But our old friend Greenbook, who I think a couple of us were quite sweet on for the Lanzarote last time, didn't get very far. The poor young fella that was riding him got unseated at the second. But still, he still remains potentially very well handicapped. I think he was a good stayer on the flat. He was 4th or 5th, I think, in the Ascot Stakes. I think he got to a rating of about 90 something. And he was going the right way over hurdles till that kind of unlucky unseat early on in that race. And I think he was well backed that day, and he could be well backed here again. And he can get back him around 8-1 now. So, Green Book over there, I think it's 255 Sandown. Keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, well, when you see a horse like Embassy Gardens 20-1, you know how good the race is. Because I like him. I thought he looked fairly special. Yeah, interesting. Interested in Mount Leinster in the handicap at Leopardstown. He is been well backed in now. Mount Leinster, of course, big shout out to the Hilltop Bar, Ballymurphy, County Carlow, and of course we'll be there for the 30th birthday party on the 19th of February. Anyone that's hanging around Mount Leinster, Davy Boland is laughing. Get yourself in, strap yourselves in on Saturday. Now, anything else across it?
Strapped in, go to the Hilltop.
Oh, jeez, Davy, you're telling me.
Yeah, the 30th birthday party in the Hilltop in Ballymurphy, 19th of February. Anyone who's knocking about, that's where you'll find me with the Rockabilly's Rebel Band. Okay, right, lads, we're going to come on and listen to
I have two for the handicaps.
Can you come, Tom? Sorry, I'm not as professional as Vince. Go for it.
No, shocking. The handicap hurdle, I thought I had one picked out, but he's been absolutely hammered. Connor rides him, Enjoyed Allen. He was turning the Paddy Power off 145. He runs here off 115. I think he's been gone from 25s into 10s. This, I presume, will be his prep run before the Aintree Grand National, as that's the long time plan. And we all know that most horses that win the Grand National, their last win does be over hurdles. So that could be one factor into it as well. Very nice lightweight. Look, he's a good horse over fences, so he's £30 well in on his hurdle. We know that doesn't work out the whole time, but the money's come from Kieran Murphy, had a winner last night in Dundalk, so the horses are going well. And in the Handicapped Chase, I'm going to take a chance on one down the bottom, Revel Pleasure. You have to go back a couple of runs, but he was second to Lucky Max of Sean Doyle's. He gave him a good race down in Cork. Probably the last time in Cork, I'd say the ground was too heavy. So off a lightweight, Mark McDonough claiming 7, he's 9-10, better ground. He could be a good each way price at 8 or 9 to 1 for that Handicapped Chase.
Interesting. Just one at Newcastle on Friday night. I'm not joking. Shala Asker for Adrian Keatley, all weather. This horse by Shala, I'm not entirely sure. I think it was a bit of a gamble stepping him up to 7 furlongs. The last time he finished second, the lads can't believe I'm putting this one in. Shala Asker at 7:15 in Newcastle on Friday night. Shala Asker, get your money for Leopardstown this weekend. I thought he was unlucky the last time. Adrian Keatley, Ryan Sexton claiming 7, top weight, second time up in trip to 7 furlongs. Really like the look of him at Newcastle in the 7:15. But before we bring in Gordon Elliott, lads, anything else to mention? No. Let's hear from the master of Cullentra, Mr. Gordon Elliott.
Delighted to be joined on the Champ.ie podcast, episode number 12 of the season, ahead of the Dublin Racing Festival, by Gordon Elliott. Gordon, welcome to the show. Ginto, want to start with him. He won the Lawlers at Naas, of course, for good supporters, Noel and Valerie Moran. And I suppose rightfully all the talk was about him after the race, but looking ahead to the Dublin Racing Festival, Hollow Games, he ran a big race back in third. What did you think of his run?
He did, yeah. He ran very well. Look, he probably got a bit close to the third and fourth last and just didn't get the best runs from home from there. I think on the days he got to run of the race, he'd have been second. But he's a nice horse. He liked the ground in Leopardstown. We're looking forward to running him. Yeah,
looks a competitive Nathaniel Lacey, Gordon, on paper. Do you think the step up and trip will suit him?
I think it'll suit him. He's 1.5 over 3 miles. He looks like he's stayed. So yeah, we're looking forward to the race. It's a competitive race, usually it does, but we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, brilliant. And how has he come out on Ace?
He seems to come out well. Obviously, it's only a month ago, so we haven't done an awful lot with him, but he seems in good form, and we're looking forward to running him, you know.
Yeah, Manila Crooner as well. We must mention him. The form took a boost, of course, this week with Kilcroot winning. He looks a nice horse.
He does look a nice horse. He doesn't show much at home, and he's going to be a big chase around the road, but he's a nice honest horse. And hopefully he can run a good race as well. But, if you'd ask me to pick out of 2 of them at home, I'd have to go on Hollow Games, to be honest.
Good stuff. And Phil Dorr, of course, is in the Spring Juvenile, and he's marginal favourite for that, the Grade 1.
Phil Dorr, he's a horse that doesn't run fancy at home, but he's been very good in all his runs. You wouldn't feel your confidence looking him through a race, but he's always there at the end of it. But he jumps well and does everything right, so he's a horse we're looking forward to running again at the weekend. It's a good race. Willie's horse, I suppose, was only a neck or a half a length behind Pied Piper in Punchestown, so he's a big danger.
Yeah, and how laid back is Phil Lower? I think that's one of his characteristics, is it?
Very laid back, but that's the good thing about him. He's very, very laid back, and it's a good nice thing to have in a horse.
Yeah, and a word for Pied Piper, of course, you've had a week to digest that performance, Gordon. He was brilliant. It was brilliant to be back in Cheltenham, I'd say too.
Yeah, I thought he was very good. There was a nice atmosphere in Cheltenham. It was great to be there, and he couldn't knock his performance. I thought it was very, very good.
He looks pretty non-complicated, Gordon. Obviously, Davy settled him out the back. His jumping was good, but I suppose he's options now, does he?
He has options. The weekend will tell us a whole lot what road we go. But he's loads of options. We could obviously skip them and keep him for entry. We could run the Supreme Novice, or we could let the two run the Triumph Order. But we'll get this weekend out of the way, and we'll make a plan then. Yeah,
best of luck with him. Looks exciting. Riviere de Tell is close favourite, of course, for the Irish Arkle, Gordon.
I think she's a great chance, but it's a good race. Willie's got Blue Lord and a few other horses in it. She jumps well. She's getting 7 pound off them. She's a good mare. She's got a rating of 150, and we're looking for a runner.
She's improved an awful lot for fences.
She has. She jumps very well, but she's getting stronger the whole time. Even looking at her stable there this afternoon, every day I look at her, she's getting stronger. So she's a filly that could even train on next year. She's a nice filly, and we're very lucky to have her.
Yeah, the 3:45 did the 3 mile handicap hurdle. Dallas, the Picton, and Dunboyne. Quick word for each of them.
Yeah, look, Dallas the Picton on a golden day, he had a good chance. Dunboyne ran very well the last day in Leopardstown. He didn't get the best look and running, but he ran a good race. We're very happy with him.
Great stuff. And of course, the big one, the 3:15, the Irish Gold Cup Delta work. Were you disappointed with him this season, Gordon?
We took all the headgear off and we put cheap pieces on him. Look, he got jarred up in Leopardstown last year. It took him a long time to forget it. I think he's just coming right now, but the race of the weekend is going to be a big fact-finding mission for the season, whether he's going to be a horse to head for the Gold Cup or whether we go the Grand National route. But listen, he's a good right with the horse in his own right, and if he goes back down here close to his best, he's got a great chance.
Because you've conflated in there as well. That looks a big step up in class.
Very big step up in class, but he's kind of out of rate. He's a bit in no man's land, so we say we give him a rat that distance. Here we go.
Yeah, moving on to Sunday, Gordon. Obviously, we're speaking without declarations, but Zana here is a horse that has been very consistent this year. Was one of the top juveniles, of course, last year, heading over to the Cheltenham Festival, beating a neck in Leopardstown by Sharjah. You said one thing that struck me, Gordon. You did say in pre-season that he came back very strong this year. Could there still be a lot of improvement with him over 2 miles?
Yeah, I think he's improving the whole time. I thought he had a very good race the last day. He's beaten by a very, very good horse in Sharjah. He's got a very, very good mare in Honeysuckle that's beat on Sunday, a lot with all the rest of the horses, but he's in good form. We're looking forward to running him. Yeah,
what do you think is his biggest strength, Gordon?
Look, he jumps and he stays, and he's just a very, very good horse,
Yeah, and could he be one later on in the season that could maybe step up and trip for something like an entry hurdle, something like that?
He could definitely, but this will we go to Leopardstown Sunday and get that out of the way. We'll make plans going forward then.
Yeah, best of luck with him. Wanted to mention, of course, the novice hurdle on Sunday. You had Mighty Potter, of course, who won at Christmas, the Grade 1. And also, of course, Three Stripe Life ran in the same race at Christmas time. Both obviously entered up here. Is the plan for both to run?
No, I'd say I just run Three Stripe Life. I'm going to go straight to Cheltenham with Mighty Potter. He's a big marketing horse. Just, I don't go to the well too much of them, but I'd say I just run Three Stripe Life for this and looking forward to running them too.
Yeah, and after the Royal, you mentioned Mighty Potter. He looks a real nice horse. And, the Royal Bond over 2 miles, lots of people were saying, does he need a step up and trip? But he proved last time that 2 miles is okay for him.
Yeah, he's just a good horse. He's a little bit behind the bride, but he's a real nice horse, and he's a horse we're really looking forward to, going forward.
You must be looking forward to him over a fence next year, are you?
That's what he is, to be honest. You look at him he's really a big chaser.
Yeah, on Sunday's card, best of luck with him. Harmonia Maker. She looked a nice filly at Punchestown. It was her second start, and she delivered in style. She's down or entered in the competitive Mayor's Bumper on Sunday, the graded Mayor's Bumper. How's she come out of Punchestown?
Yeah, she worked well during the week. I'll probably run all 3 mares in the race, so it's going to be a competitive race. But, it's a black type race for them mares. Jamie Coyle obviously has to decide what he's going to ride. That would be a big, I suppose, a big direction, which will probably be the pick of the one today. But I suppose he'll make his mind up in the morning when he sees what the ground is like. But I've got 3 good mares in the race and really looking forward to it.
We didn't mention Fury Road, who goes, of course, in the 2.5 mile, what he's entered to go. How has he come out of Christmas?
He's come out with very well. Obviously, we're coming back and trip. But I think the trip will be okay, and he jumps very well. So, yeah, we're looking forward to running him as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, best of luck this weekend, Gordon. If you was to say maybe the horse you're most looking forward to seeing this weekend, who would it be?
I should look at him. If I mention one, I'm not being unfair to the rest of them. I'm looking forward to see how standing here runs in the champion order.
Yeah, and just a couple of questions for the crowd. A couple of horses have been mentioned to us, Gordon. Jerry Calam.
Yeah, he just does what he has to do. He just very, very fancy. I think he'll improve an awful lot from Furless. Can't be go straight now to the Albert Barrett at all well.
And Buddy Rich, Gordon, he's a horse that had plenty of starts over fences since he joined the yard. Of course, has been to Cheltenham earlier this season. How is he, and what's the plan?
The plan is, I had him enter this weekend, but I gave him a break, and I just had him back in time, and he wasn't ready enough to go to Leopardstown. So I'd imagine I'll go straight for the Grand Annual and Cheltenham now all the way.
And Falcano, is Cheltenham on the agenda with him?
Falcano is qualified for the Pertemps, and he has the mountain pipe as well, so he'll be entering both of them and see what happens.
And everyone wants to know about American Mike. How is he?
He's in very good form. Shane McCann writes about every day, and he's very happy with him. He'll go straight for the bumper, and we're really looking forward to it. And
the one horse, of course, we have to mention before we let you go, Tiger Roll.
Tiger's good out of form. He had a nice run out of Navan last week. The ground was softer than what he liked. He was over to Cheltenham and his school around there as well. So he'll run in the bite and hurl if the ground's okay, and if not, he'll go straight to Cheltenham.
Gordon, it was an absolute pleasure. I wish you the very best this weekend. You're a gent, and thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay, great to hear from Gordon Elliott, lads, and of course those tracker horses that we have been delivering on the channel. I hope you're all on Ballyblack midweek at Wednesday. Like advised on Monday night, Ronan Groome absolutely hammered from 5 to 2 all the way into 5 to 6, drifted out, of course, and won well. So, yeah, keep an eye. Shall ask her on Friday night. Okay, Dublin Racing Festival Sunday. I'm not sure if we'll make the 2 days, Ronan Groome, after all the sauce on the Saturday. But there's a couple of hot pots up here. Galloping the Champs, Shaka and Poursois, Honeysuckle, of course, in the feature. Of the 3 hot pots, or are you looking to take any of them on? What are you most looking forward to on Sunday?
Well, I'm going to be racing on Sunday, Basil. I know you are fairly soft the next day after you go for a few drinks, but I will be there, and I'm very much obviously looking forward to seeing Galopin de Champ in the Ladbrokes Novice Chase. I say you are as well, with a significant anti-post wager on him for the Turners. I think he'll end up there when he wins here. He obviously, everyone saw how well he jumped the last day. He was foot perfect, and he travelled like an absolute power machine. It's hard to know what's in against him. The fact that Capilano has 10-1 shot suggests to me that he probably won't run. Master McShee is an interesting one. He's obviously a Grade 1 winner, and so is Fury Road as well. I wonder, was that the coming of age of Fury Road the last day, because he won really well over the 3 miles there, and he's been a horse that's promised a lot down the years and not really delivered. He's been hammered off the boards for races before, and maybe that's him getting his act together finally the last day. But even if he is towards the top of his potential now, I think this Galopin de Champ is a bit of a tool, and may end up being favoured for the Turners after this ahead of Bob Bollinger, but we shall see. Obviously, Honeysuckle is front and centre for the Irish Champion Hurdle. It's hard to know whether Appreciate will take her on. I hope he will, but I could see them ducking it. He's obviously won a lot of grade ones, a couple of grade ones at Leopardstown, so it wouldn't make sense for him to run, but it's going to be a tough ask for him anyway, first time out. I think Zana here will probably have a fitness edge on him as well, so that could be an angle in there. The best betting race of the grade ones, I suppose, would be the Tattersalls Ireland Novice Hurdle. That's with Sir Gerhard's favourite. I'd be happy enough to kind of take him on there. On what he's done, he's only won one run so far, obviously won over the course and distance. Didn't really excite that much on the clock. Willie's got another one in there, El Fabiolo. He won the Tremor Maiden that Willie likes on New Year's Day. He's interesting. You're going to see my mate Mozzie again. Mighty Potter potentially as well with Three Stripe Life. I think this is probably, there's a bit of depth there to the rivals against Sir Gerhard. And I like Statuaire. Haven't given up on her. Haven't seen her since the Royal Bond, but I think she's a bit underrated because, you know, people talk about that race being a muddling race, but she was the one probably inconvenienced most, and she still powered through to win. And she's probably a bit underrated because she was running through the summer. People tend to try and write those horses off, but Willie's given her a big vote of confidence here by letting her take on the boys again. And I backed her for the Mayor's Novice again today, just on the fact that she might be declared here again. And even if she runs well, if she ran second or third, I think she could be the one to beat then eventually at Cheltenham. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to Sunday. Saturday's probably a stronger card, but Sunday, interesting as well.
Interesting. Davy Boland?
Yeah, so Beacon Edge is a very big price, I thought.
Jeez, Dave, you won't get near Galloping the Champs over 2.5 miles.
No, I'm not saying he beat him. I'm just saying, looking at each way bets, sure, you know Galloping the Champs is going to win. Well, we all think he will win. We're all in agreement with that. I was just trying to look for something else.
I was wondering where you were going with that one, but come on.
I just thought he was very good in Fairy House. He had very bad colic, though, is the reason why he didn't run at Christmas. So I'd imagine he's fitting well now to be here. But yeah, Galloping the Champs is going to be very difficult to beat, as Ronan said. Like, just the performance the last day, he jumped and galloped. He just galloped him into the ground. So he's very exciting. So it'll be interesting to see what he does on Sunday, and then what happens in Cheltenham, you know, with Bob Ollinger and that. Probably the weakest grade one of the weekend is the 2 mile chase, the Ladbrokes Dublin Chase. I know it was a bad run the last day, Chacun Pour Soi, but surely if he turns up here, he beat these. Again, as I've said earlier on, always allowing a good horse to have an off day, and that's what he did. He didn't just get beaten, like he had a stinker of a day, like, you know. Grenadine was good that day, but he's, as you said, lads, about the Paul Nicholls form and that. So yeah, Chacun Pour Soi for me. If you're a better at odds on, he's the one for you. Zana here again. He'll have it tough to try and catch Honeysuckle. Appreciate it. I wouldn't say he'll run, will he? So it's probably going to be straightforward enough for her. People say about the form of Henry the Bromheads. I think she lives outside, doesn't she? So I know the form is of the yard, but has to make a difference when they live outdoors. They're not in the barns or in the stables with the others, you know. And then the 2 mile novice is interesting. I very much doubt the Mighty Potter will run. So I'd be a big Sir Gerhard fan. Ronan's right about the Mayor. You know, she probably didn't get enough respect for what she did in the Royal Bond, but I think Sir Gerhard's is a proper horse. I think he's very exciting. It was a good maiden hurdle he won at Christmas in Leopardstown, and for me, he's the one to beat, definitely, especially if Mighty Potter doesn't run, you know, which I wouldn't say he will.
And the view from Batterstown?
Yeah, look, I'm going to keep it fairly simple. Galloping the Champs wins, Honeysuckle wins, Chacun Pour Soi should win, but I think the bet in that race could be Dunvegan without the favourite. I know he's better in Fairy House going right-handed. He's got good form there, but he's done nothing wrong in them handicaps, and is a horse that probably will run decent in that race. If other horses like Grenadine and Captain Guinness have a day off, he'll pick up the pieces. He's about 10 to 1 or so. He's good each way bet. if they all have an off day. The Willie's in the bumper, if she runs, she looked like a freak when she won in the Stone. I think in the park, it was an absolute piss take. Like, it's just like he joined coming into the fucking home turn. So if she runs, I see 6-5 here. She's a certainty. She wins. She's a freak.
No, she's not.
Oh, she is a fucking freak, lad.
I've won in that.
Oh, you fucking stop.
I've won in
Although
that.
Gordon's is decent, that Hormona maker. But like what I seen, or what I remember that race in Listowel, I remember watching it, and like Patrick didn't move, and this yoke was just getting faster and faster under. So she'd be, but yeah, so that'd be kind of a little lucky 15 or an accumulator there with them for Shakam, Galloping the Champs, Honeysuckle going on to the bumper, Patrick in the bumper, as they say. Get us all out. Pints and cappies after.
Okay, lads, Leopardstown on Sunday for me. Hopefully we'll make it on Sunday as well. But the 12:45 is an interesting handicap hurdle. Heaven help us is in there for Paul Hennessy. 12-1 chance. If she runs here, obviously she'll keep the weights down for the one my selection, which would be Glan. She's 7-1 currently at the moment in the betting. She was an eye catcher for me at Fairy House last time. She's rated 123, and I'd say she could be up to run the big race here. She's only had 4 starts over hurdles. That's Glan, so she caught the eye. Obviously, we don't have declarations at this point. And the Ladbrokes Novice Chase Grade 1, just the horse I can't wait to see all weekend is Galloping the Champs, and hopefully he backs up here, goes and does the same. Goes out in front and makes the use of his jumping, which I think is his biggest strength based on what we've seen, and hopefully he goes and takes his place in the turners, and I think he will. I think that is his biggest strength, is jumping. I think he'll deliver here. The Ladbrokes Dublin Chase. Tom, I wouldn't totally discount what you said there about Dunvegan. Obviously on official ratings, he's a lot to find. He's a lot to find on official ratings.
He only has £5 or £6 to find with the second and third fight, Captain Guinness and Grennan, you know, and like we know, we've reiterated the form of Nichols and the Bromhead, so he could be the bet without the favour. Yeah,
for me, I might try. It depends how many runners we get here. Like if we get there's 8 runners in there at the moment, and I mean, if they were all to stay in, he might be, worth an each way bet. I might be inclined to have a bet without the favourite in this race, though. And I think you might be onto one with Dunvegan. Jacques and Persois, something did come to light, in fairness. I think Willie mentioned it the week later. Something to do with his hawk or something. So there was a little.
He broke his chestnut. Or something.
Yeah, that was it. So there was a minor physical issue there. At least something came to light with Jacques and Persois. If he turns up and runs to form, obviously they'll not get within touch and distance of him. But maybe the bet in here is the likes of Dunvegan. Grenadine, I was mad at him at the start of the year. He did disappoint me last time, and the way Nichols' horses are running, it'd just be disappointing. I'm not sure whether I'd be willing to row in on him. So maybe Dunvegan without the fav. Looking then towards the handicap, the Grade A, of course, the Bulmer's Secret Orchard. Leopardstown Handicapped Chase, the 225. The one in here that caught my eye was the Gordon Elliott trained Fakir Delan. Dave, I don't know what your thoughts are on him. He's only had 3 runs over fences. Came from the point-to-point circuit, but his run the last day, Rob James was up claiming 7, but he wasn't doing an absolute tap in front. This fella down in Turles, he wasn't doing a jot. And the ears were pricking. He was running around the place in front. And Donkey's years was well supported for JP in the same race. And my eyes were drawn to Donkey's years. And I just said, this thing in front is not doing an absolute jot. So he's up to 137. It'll be interesting to see if he is declared here. It's a 14-day turnaround. Currently, he's 10-1 in the betting, but he was one of interest. Max Flamingo in the same race. Interesting for Francis Case. He drops back in trip. Ran a course in the graded race won by Fury Road over an extended distance the last time. So interesting, he was to step back and trip. For me, I think maybe Fairy House for him later on in the season, one of those spring handicaps, possibly the Irish National. But he's one that I'll be keeping an eye on. Honeysuckle, wouldn't be inclined to take her on now, Tom. I think you're right with her. Mighty Potter won't run. Don't have a major opinion in that one, although I do like El Fabiolo a lot. At currently 6-1, so if it did cut up, I might be inclined to take a chance on him each way against the Fav, Sir Gerhard. And in the bumper, one of my bets of the weekend comes in the form of Ava Grace for Willie Mullins. We couldn't really see much of her in the fog at Thurles last time. It was actually the day after the wedding, and there was a couple of horse voices shouting at the screen.
You couldn't see much either at that stage.
I say you see nothing.
Yeah. Also, by walking the park, though, Tom, I do agree with you. The Fab looked mildly impressive. We haven't seen her for a while. I did like the performance of Ava Grace in the John Battersley Racing Syndicate colours. So, yeah. That'd be a bet for me if she lined up here at any sort of an each-way price. That's Ava Grace. Lads, anything before we kind of come on to the Champ.ie 5-cast, which we introduced last week? Do you know what? Let's get straight into it. Let's go through the 5-cast, and we're going to go around the grounds. We're going to give our 5-cast selection, and for anyone who didn't watch last week's show, we're going to be doing this on the Champ.ie podcast every single week. Davey, take your hands down from your mouth when I'm talking to you. Every single week, we're going to be doing the Champ.ie 5-cast, going through the 4 feature races. In this case, it will be Saturday because we have declarations, and putting in a wild card at the end. So your nap can feature anywhere within the 5-cast, but that's and the viewers, in fairness, we got lots of interaction. So I can't stress enough, put your 5-cast down below, because Davy Boland did promise on last week's show that he would be giving away some merchandise from Racing's Inside Track TV to the first player who lands the 5-cast. And put him in a lucky 31 for yourself. Let's try make some real dough on the Champ.ie podcast. Let's go around the grounds. Ronan Groome, the first feature race that we're going to be looking at, and I'm going to call it in order. We mentioned it beforehand. The first race in the 5-cast this week is the first feature race, the Nathaniel Lacey Novice Hurdle Grade 1 105 on Saturday. Who's your selection?
Eric Bloodaxe.
Eric Bloodaxe.
Gone.
Okay, so the 135 at Fairyhouse is the Spring Juvenile Hurdle, the Grade 1. Ronan Groome, what's your selection?
I've got no selection at the 135 at Fairyhouse. I do have one at Leopardstown.
Well, you have to put it in for the... Sorry, Leopardstown. Go for it.
Phil Dorr.
Eric Bloodaxe, Phil Dorr. The Irish Arkle, Novice Chase, Grade 1.
Riviere de Tel.
The Irish Gold Cup.
Kemboy.
And your wild card of the weekend.
Can my wild card be on Sunday, or does it need to be on Saturday?
It can be anywhere over the weekend. It can be on Friday night in the last in Newcastle if you want.
Can I go Sandown? I'm going to put Green Book in at Sandown. 255 at Sandown.
Fantastic. And what's your nap of all of those?
Riviere de Tel.
Riviere de Tel. Davy Boland, you know the drill. You were here last week for the first 5-cast. First up for you, the Nathaniel Lacey 105 at Leopardstown.
Manila Crooner.
Okay. Spring Juvenile.
Phil Dorr.
Irish Arkle.
Riviere de Tel.
Okay, need to get some French lessons, Davy Boland. Irish Gold Cup.
Kemboy.
And wild card of the weekend.
Sir Gerhard.
And what's your nap?
Sir Gerhard.
Ooh. Tommy Coyle. Nathaniel Lacey.
Grand Jury.
Oh, gone. Next one, Spring Juvenile.
Phil Dorr.
Irish Arkle.
Yeah, River to Tell. I'll stick with you, boys.
Davy's not impressed.
Davy's had enough. He's left it.
He's gone.
Irish Gold Cup. Sorry, Davy. Sorry, you missed that one. Irish Arkle.
River to Tell. Sorry.
Okay. Irish Gold Cup.
Kemboy.
Kemboy. Okay. And wild card.
Magic Tricks in the Handicapped Hurdle on Sunday.
Ooh. Good man. And what's the nap?
Grand Jury in the first.
Oh, Jesus, Tom.
Brand Jury in the first is your nap. You're an absolute header. Okay. Why not throw in my own? The Nathaniel Lacey, Eric Bloodaxe, 13-2. The Spring Juvenile. The Spring Juvenile. I'm going to go with Phil Dorr.
Like the rest of us all.
Yeah. The Irish Arkle on prices, and this is what this is about. So we all could put the favourites in, but we're going to put in the horses that we're backing at value, and I do think Riviere de Tell is the value bet in the Irish Arkle. And the Irish Gold Cup, Asterion for Lunge. Nap. Asterion for Lunge this weekend. And Wildcard.
You're napping Asterion for Lunge.
Correct.
Fuck.
Oh, he's lost it. He has really lost it now.
Wildcard. Evergrace. In the bumper. In Leopardstown on Sunday. He's a good bet, lads. He's a good bet at 9-2.
She mightn't even run.
He's declared.
Sunday.
No, that's my
He's
wild
on
card
about
is.
the fucking grey, yo.
I'm on about the Asterion for Lunge. Okay, apologies for the language. Guys, put in your, if you want to get that merchandise from Racing's Inside Track TV, do get your 5cast in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed, you don't need me to tell you, hit the red button and subscribe to the show. We'll be back as always next week. Best of luck to Mike Vince on his travels. I think he is traveling north this weekend. And lads, we will see you on Saturday. Tom, are you hitting Leopardstown?
Sunday, if it is, it'll be Sunday. You might be going to the rugby. I don't know.
It'll be afternoon tea at some fancy castle.
He's on the gravy train.
Be afternoon tea somewhere in like Calevi Castle, would it say Pippin? Now it'll be more like it for you. Okay, lads, I really enjoyed the show.
His wedding in the castle.
Best of luck, lads, over the weekend. Always good crack tonight, and we will see you next week, same time.
Inside the final 150 yards, this is a special year, and it's a Hattons full of grace. And it's Energumen opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2 mile novices. Energumen by a
Solo, welcome back to the Champ.ie podcast, episode number 12 of the season, ahead of the Dublin Racing Festival. I'm back in the hot seat. Vince has gone missing. And the special guest on the show this week is Gordon Elliott, and we will be speaking to Gordon after we preview day one of the Dublin Racing Festival at Leopardstown. Let's introduce the guests. My intros won't be as good as the Vince, but we have the Golden Groome back from his trip in the Alps. Good afternoon, Ronan.
How are you, Basil? Good to be back.